Ladies and gentlemen, we are into overdrive. By the way, we got breaking news on Gardasil I haven't even gotten to tonight. The correlation with pregnancy being down, it's been up for decades, down when you get 20-something million girls taking it. And we're going to show you UN examples and Rockefeller documents dealing with sterilization. Lionel is our guest. Watson is riding shotgun with us. Watson, what he's saying is the admitted plan, where through global standardization, these international treaties on copyright, cell phones, regular phones, all computers, that's what Shazam and all this stuff is, where now YouTube, every video you upload is run through an encoder of a database, and routinely, even though I have authorization from the company itself to have Shooter Jennings in Police State 4, we still had to fire counterclaims or have it taken down because it didn't matter. It heard that music and knew it was there. Or Paul, a few weeks ago, you played like a 30-second clip of a television station in Canada promoting, cashless society and all this. They didn't file the complaint. It ran through a computer. It was clearly fair use commentary. It was clearly you playing it and saying, look how they're wrong. Totally protected under every court case. We have a lawyer out here who can break it down for us. But I already studied it myself. I'm a lawyer when it comes to this stuff. And so we had to file the counterclaim. But 99% of people don't know how to do that. And now the feds are saying they don't care. One time your website's gone, period, and then you'll be blacklisted on the internet because now it's going to be a digital thumbprint to get online. You get one violation, you're never on the web again. And then you're going to be drug off by cybersecurity they've set up if you somehow hack in under another identity. Now you can't even work and live in society because you're on this digital probation when you never went through a regular court system. Lionel, that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
That is indeed part of the process. May I also talk about something which is another aspect of it? Because remember, going back to what I said originally, if I could be the psychologist general and I could systematically habituate the people to something. In 1975, there was a TV show called SWAT. First came out when SWAT teams were brand new. Special Weapons and Tactics. Remember that? ABC, I think it was. In the old days, to show you how subtle this is, and it may not seem like much to people, but to me, that's a lot. The idea of a SWAT team, there was a van that went to where the suspect was or the hostage situation was, and the police officers changed from their regular uniform into the militaristic helmet, Kevlar, M4s, automatic weapons. It was a process. Now, that's been eliminated. We have overnight, through this very subtle, very gradual, systematic habituation, our local police have turned into the military. And if you told somebody, if I could bring Thomas Jefferson back from the grave and say, look at what happened, look how there has been, how this firewall, the spirit, if you will, of posse comitatus, but the spirit of this differentiation between domestic police and military, that's all but gone. What happens?
Let me stop you. I got to stop you again because you're making my brain explode. You're right. And the key to this, for anybody who's been habituated to lie to themselves and like the system, people think that gives them power over it. The point is it's scientifically been habituated, been incremental. It was designed. We even have the Rand Corporation documents on that, how, even the smallest, town has to have its SWAT team now, and now they're kicking down doors over unpaid parking tickets. This is the new Gestapo force, and look how they did it.
Let me throw another one at you if I could. Ask yourself this. I want all of your listeners, all of your viewers, just to ask themselves a very simple question. Do you remember any time in your life when you heard the word vaccine brought up in news stories, TV shows, magazines, newspapers, articles, blogs, more than now? We are inundated. We are immersed, bathing in this new habituation about vaccines. Now, I'm just saying, whether they're good, bad, or different, it's a different story. The word terrorism, the word support your troops, these are
all these movies about forced inoculations coming, by the way.
And more importantly, how the government is to the rescue. Remember, we're going to need you. Alex.
Stay there. We got to go to break. One more segment. Paul Watson waiting. You know, the frustrating thing is you know all this knowledge, you know it's real, you know you're being consciously manipulated by very corrupt, ruthless people, and even when you're conscious of it, it's hard to beat. And then you've got people who are willfully ignorant because part of the conditioning is when you're deep in it is you like it and you defend it and you love your servitude. But now the globalists are bringing us into the next phase where they destroy the economy to make us then do whatever we're told to get it back. Of course, you don't really get it back. Europe gives up all of its sovereignty, raises its taxes, money goes to foreign banks. Same thing here. It never gets better. It only gets worse. This is the post-industrial world. Paul Watson's waiting in the wings. Paul, what do you think of what Lionel was talking about, this whole use of copyright, everything having systems engineered into it where your phone, your computer spies on you and then shuts things off if it thinks it's copyright? That's on the TiVos. That's on our own video converters to run video to screens for television. It's always screwing up with high def because it has to watch the signal and make sure it isn't copyright. And then it causes endless problems messing with everything and then buying expensive converters and things to even be able to do my own TV show. I mean, this surveillance grid, this panopticon, they have built into the technological system through DARPA and these global conventions, total control, Watson.
Well, I mean, Homeland Security has seized website domains not for hosting copyright material, but merely for linking to it. So they've got to that level. But people say, well, YouTube's a private website. I mean, they can delete what they want. Okay, fine, then we lose, a third of our audience. So what are we going to do when VeriSign, which is the company that controls all the .com domain names, gets the power to shut down .coms by government decree, which is now what they've requested? What are we going to do when Joe Lieberman's Senate, Homeland Security Office calls up Amazon and says, get WikiLeaks off your servers now, and 10 minutes later it's gone? Because that's already happening. So it's not just about YouTube, it's about government having the power to
but I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to stop you there and have you comment and go back to Lionel on this, Paul. It's worse than that. When you advertise a business and you advertise a semi-commons, there's an agreement. When you sign that YouTube agreement, it's saying your free speech is honored. You are the you in YouTube. You bring your value to them. And it's just like a company cheating you or not being fair in its advertising, being dishonest. When YouTube tries to always use its rules against us, we go do the filings, we threaten to sue them just to stay on YouTube and reach 300 million people conservatively there in the last 2 years. And so, but again, the general public doesn't know how to do this. They don't open law books up and talk to lawyers as consultants and, talk to the Electronic Frontier Foundation and do all this research, 17 years of media research. They're not a former prosecutor like Lionel and a media critic like Lionel. They just don't know. Go ahead, Lionel.
Alex, that's one of the things also which is important. You also want to remember, going back to my nefarious position as psychologist general, I want to impress upon my subjects that they're stupid, they're uneducated, they're ignorant, they're nescient, they don't know as much as Big Daddy. I know more than you. This is a legal thing. This is about global warming. This is about medicine and vaccines. This is about commerce and finance. Let me give you one more, if I could, before I forget. This is the best example. I've mentioned this before. I've got it on my YouTube channel, as long as that's up. I've mentioned it on local commentary. This is how the systematic, and this also goes into your cashless society. There was a story in New York recently, this heart-rending story of this little dog that traveled 5 years ago from Denver and shows up in Manhattan. I don't know how. And they found this little dog, and the veterinarian scanned it and said, hey, look, it has an embedded RFID chip, a little chip. Let's see, could it be that maybe the information is there? Sure enough, and they called the owners up, and the little girl, who was, I think, 5 when Fluffy, roamed off, was so delighted. Now, here's how the transition works. If it's good enough for your dog, then, let's say you have a parent who has dementia or Alzheimer's, tends to walk off. Let's put a little RFID chip in your parents. Why? And this is the thing that just lulls people into the sense of hypnotic trance-like approbation. Medical records. Don't you want your parents' medical records in this chip? Yes. Follow the watch. Then The next step, well, if it's good enough for your dog and good enough for your parents, you know, all these poor kids at Amber Alerts, these kids that are swiped off the street. What if I could make child abduction impossible, a thing of the past, through embedding a chip, not in any one usual place, God forbid a child's arm is
but it's
off.
injected, so it's tracker nanotech all over you, and that's and the companies admit they want to make it the law, and that all of this, IBM secretly funded, and it came out, Verichip, just to be their frontline company to get everybody conditioned for it, and that's exactly now what they're announcing.
Condition, systematic habituation. Finally, I'm going to show kids, because young people, I can get to do anything if I make it cool. I want to make UPC code tattoos, which are already coming about. Watch. I want markings, and you mentioned the sign of the devil, and it's funny. It's, well, not funny, but it's interesting. The biblical references, that kind of make a lot of sense. But I want to make marking and tagging and coding a thing that's interesting. And eventually, I'm going to say you, hey, Mr. Consumer, do you like your Blink card from X Bank? Isn't that great? No need to swipe it if you're in the cab or at the drugstore. You swipe. What if I then take this RFID chip and I put it in your hand and it's got your medical record?
By the way, this has already all started. And again, I remember in Washington Post, WashTech, back when they had that, in '98, they admitted that at big corporate meetings where they get all the big heads together, they said, through media, let's habitualize body modification, because our studies showed it'll get people ready for microchips. And it is so incredible. Let's bring Watson in here briefly. Watson, what's your take and view on this? And also comment on the street lights with Homeland Security systems listening us, following us. They've now pulled the video since Drudge linked to your article.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the chip subject, we already carry around a chip that locates us everywhere we go. We can use it to swipe to buy things like a credit card. It's called our cell phone, so they've already got it to some extent. But on the IntelliStreets, this is a company that has received government funding to put in these street lights, which basically include a sophisticated computer within the street light. It's got a Wi-Fi connection. It can be controlled remotely. It's got sensors. It's got cameras. It's got loudspeakers, which mirrors what we have in Britain in cities where the CCTV surveillance cameras actually have speakers where the controllers can bark orders at people for dropping litter and stuff like that. So, I mean, I found this purely by accident. I was searching for Homeland Security on YouTube to try and find, the latest video about how everybody's a terrorist. And I found this video, which had literally been uploaded minutes before, and it had got 0 viewers. So I was the first one to see it, and it's about this company that's tied at the hip with the feds. And they're trying to roll out this system where the street light is the surveillance system, and it's ubiquitous throughout the city. As soon as it got linked on Drudge Report, they pulled the video. It's like, a kid gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar. It's total criminality. This is a promotional video, and yet they're ashamed of it. They've pulled it from YouTube because they don't like us drawing attention to the fact that this is part of the Homeland Security occupation and takeover of America and turning it into this high-tech police state grid. But then it's worse than that. They've jailed for 2 years a Border Patrol agent who had an illegal while he searched him raise his hands. But then I had a TSA guy doing that to me yesterday and sticking his hand in my pants. Yes, folks, it happened. I never got to it today. I'll talk about it tomorrow and play the audio. Oh, I recorded it. You better believe I did. And so all of that, again, this is so insane. They want to search your car 100 miles into the U.S. now, the Border Patrol does, at random checkpoints and hardened checkpoints. But then the illegals can't be searched. Again, whatever you're told something's for is not what it's really for. As Ron Paul said, the wall is to keep us in, not to keep the illegals out. The globalists...
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, if you... I'm going to look at the news, obviously. I'm on a news station here, very proud of Pix 11 in New York. And right now, we have a rash in the city of New York of gropers. And it's weird. It's kind of an infantilized sexual abuse. Not rape, thank God, but almost childish. It's strange. It's against the law, no matter how you look at it. Interesting thing. Every single night, on every channel, in every newspaper, we see grainy surveillance photos of people in the act, there is a sound of a woman actually being attacked. You see her, you hear the noise, and through this systematic reporting, and that's really what it is, we're applauding the fact that isn't this great? Now,
that's like Cops. That's like the show Cops, where it's always white trash, toothless people. The cops are always in the right, creating the image that humanity's a bunch of scum. The cops are great.